So this first poem that I'll be doing is called My Beautiful Companion, and it really just chronicles a love story across the ages, looking at the love relationship between the black man and the black woman specifically. So we'll jump into that. Here we are back in each other's arms. Me and my Nefertari setting out on a safari. So far we've weathered the worst storms. I'm talking racism in all its forms, from being shackled and shipped to being told to get over it. But in all seriousness, as a couple, it wasn't in the cards for us to make it. Pit one against the other, especially the sexes. Next is necessary, you break the will to resist by making an example out of the most restless. Bullwhip the man within an inch of his life, and take his wife and see to it that she submits. See, all of this is according to Willie Lynch in his Making of a Slave, explained in 1712. Said to last at least 300 years. Do the math and tell me where we be at. It would have been 2012. Well, fortunately we became aware of these nefarious schemes designed to keep you from me, my ebony queen. So on we go, goad into thinking we're sheepish, but no, we must remember. Chariot rides as the sunrise over the Nile. Trips to Nubia, the pyramids, reminding us to stay true to the ancestral wisdom written in hieroglyphs. That only together do we create the black family. But amidst all the madness of the Middle Passage of them wreaking havoc, then declaring us savage, I saw a side of myself the likes of which made me doubt my purpose. Though in your eyes I was always perfect. With such unfailing faith, I finally found a way to see our seeds are really planted, not buried. And even if we barely escaped, I wouldn't change the sequence of events. Because without this mess, we wouldn't have a message. Your anointed talents will restore balance by taking you from the pit to the palace. So imagine these trials are palettes, used to blend the maroon hue of a bleeding heart with the brown of our skin. And when held in the hands of a master artist, we become paintbrushes. Look, another stroke of his genius and he made us meet again. So I can court you like love and basketball, dribbling the ball, pointing my pen, singing, brown sugar girl, I got a Love Jones for you with your kinky curls. So what do you say we take a blank page and translate our pain into a love language many long to learn? For as long as the breath of life fills our lungs, it's only right that we speak in a heavenly tongue. Cause at a time when your heart was just an envelope I could slip love letters inside, I told you to mark my words with your signature. If in between birth and death is this dash called life, then we should be salt in our season on earth. Though faith was once a ladder, we slipped off of the day the saints came and said let's pray, only to exchange the land and promise for Uncle Sam and Thomas. Simon said if Christ is our crutch, then we can carry our cross. And we have, all the way to the mountaintop. Now how about we build our house on this rock? Thank you. So I got one more poem for you before the song, and this poem is called And She Raps. And I really was inspired to write it after some relationships with one of my childhood friends in Montreal, just learning about some of the trauma that she endured early on and the implications of that later on in her life. So just felt inspired to create a story kind of based around what we had discussed. So this is And She Raps. Now, I'm not one to eavesdrop, but I overheard her rapping over someone else's heartbeat. It was a soulless sample that sounded a lot like a flat line. No shorty could show a rhyme, the beach had nothing on her. Lauryn Hill skill until this fool thinking he could be MC of the century turned her body into his booth. Freestyling over instrumental, she also produced shoot. See, he preferred the hits to the slow process of composing classics. Was she? Well, from what I could tell, was tired of walls that couldn't talk and an audience of stars that never clapped. So you can imagine when he told her he rapped. A rib tied to his masculinity tugged at her interior to turn his house into a home. So she ghost wrote for him religiously, figuring he'd become more holy if only he could see how Jesus walks. But once the world caught a glimpse and said, great, another con, yay, he was quick to go back to his old ways. And by the way he was swayed, you swear he wasn't cut from a different cloth. Caught Glock, so we told him in pole. Her polar opposite in this cold world, I guess. The guess she was made to feel like inside of her own flesh. Left to right on the writer's block, bleeding from past wounds while he was in the cut coming through on the hunt. For a hurt girl with a voice but no words. A pen but no pad. Given that, perhaps it's true what they say. Trauma is the gateway. So at this point, if you're wondering about her dad, it's not that he was bad. He just never knew his purpose. As a fervent servant to the shepherd and soul, he fell short on more than one occasion, caged in by emotions he never knew he could express, like, oh, your daddy's princess, nah. Instead, his daughter grew up resenting her father for the numerous nights she keep penning, like that alone could stop his grenade-shaped fist from destroying the house. It didn't. But 10,000 hours later, with lyrics like, ladies, after the whirlwind, the world will win, with men and women reclaiming their royal roles. It seemed like a miracle. That despite every reason to, she never used her body as a hiding place. But then of course came the day when the lining in her birthday suit was loose and this wannabe rap dude decided to tailor a thing or two. So as soon as a single blew, she went from sidekick to side chick. And she's strong, but the lack of a covenant made these soul ties leave a knot in her stomach, holding on to his purple heart even after he replaced to a stone. Still penning poems or rapping over his BPM, a trap beat tempo to highlight hooks but not her punchlines. Like if cash is clay, what will you make with it? Questions she couldn't answer over a sound that wasn't hers. But rather than revert back to a track she could really rap on, she adopted the persona of a fille bourgeoise with a je ne sais quoi singing voulez-vous coucher avec moi. And while the world saw a flower child done with pedestals, heaven heard her cry for help as she knelt on knees, once used to praise her father in the heavenlies. Now I'm no masseuse, so this might rub you the wrong way. But in that same instant, she heard a familiar voice inside say, beloved, by all means use my heart as a pillow and rest your mind. And please don't unscrew your light bulb before you've had the chance to really shine. Since she knew at once who it was, everything fell in unison. Her sins forgiven and she remembered it's written, the truth will set you free, so she raps. Not to become a star with a go-yard and an autonomous car. Not for rich sex with a roughneck, nah. Not because there's so many ways to dine, it just depends on the color, but she raps. Because the word became flesh before it was ever an ink. So at this time, I'll invite my good friend Afumbam on stage. We got Sujeev. So this song is called Derek's Song. And we had an opportunity to collaborate with a local filmmaker a few years ago. He was making a documentary about music here in Calgary. And he asked us to write a song about this individual by the name of Derek Peravancini. And he's essentially a musical prodigy, but he also is blind and is on the spectrum for autism. And so essentially any song that he hears one time, he is able to play it perfectly on the piano. And so as I looked into his story, was really just inspired by his genius, using it to, be a blessing all over the world, and felt inspired to, celebrate him as well as the genius that I believe lies in all of us. So this is Derek's song. Except when he played a jingle on the keys. Just a little kid, it's a miracle he made it. Got a couple defects, still a prodigy. Is it any wonder he been all around the world, dazzling the people with his muscle memory? Too blind to go bad or not, so we put fed to this bitch. Play any piece that he hear, talk about finding a niche. Chris in the kingdom by singing out loud. What could we make of this mystery now? Seem like the misfits are so well endowed. Maybe the point is to keep you confound. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the moment. Pray you don't miss it, I promise you this. Man, you've been waiting for now is a ride. What you a witness is more than a myth.
This is your moment, it's time to wake. You're not just a monument, gotta live every breath you take. And you got a purpose, so work it. Work it. Work it, we gone. Work it, we gone. Work it, we gone. Work, 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 work it, we gone. Work it, we gone. Work it, we gone. Work, work, work.
Hands on the keys, reimagine the music. Hope what we found and we never gotta lose it. Why am I here when I'm so unsuited. Voice of the people, we cannot be muted. Locked in my mind, but I made it my home. 10,000 hours, I know what I know. I did not make it just all on my own. Mentors and parents, they help me to grow. When the stardust settle, you can hear the one. Everything gotta sound, especially the sun. Every time I look up, I'ma think where he begun. No, I'm not stopping till it's all said and done. Yeah, can I reflect on the state of my mind? Back when I thought I would give up and die, but then I found out the truth that's divine. Love is a language, it's ancient as time.
This is your moment, it's time to wait. You're not just a morning man, gotta live every breath you take. And you got a purpose, so work it. And work it. Work it, we gone. Work it, we gone. Work it, we gone. Work, work, work. Work it, we gone. Work it, we gone. Work it, we gone. Work, work, work.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the moment. Pray you don't miss it, I promise you this. Man, you've been waiting for now has arrived. What you're a witness is more than a myth. You guys have been amazing. Thank you so much.